This is Frank Consella from the Crested Butte is Home podcast, and in this episode, my guest is Gary Pierson from Western Colorado University. I was excited to have him on the podcast so that we could talk about all the things that are going on at the university, such as the new engineering school that's going up behind the Arby's and the McDonald's. You may have noticed that new building going up. But more importantly, we talk about Gary's role and his love for the students of Western, his love for the school, and all the opportunities that it provides. And of course, we also talk about his recreational pursuits because he loves it here just as much as so many of us do. So, hope you enjoy the episode, and let's get to it. Today on the Crested Butte is Home podcast, my guest is Gary Pierson, and so tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Well, as Frank said, my name is Gary Pierson. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students at Western Colorado University. Been in Gunnison and the Gunnison Valley for 20 years. Grew up, was born and raised in Lamar, Colorado, which is southeast Colorado. It's a small ranching farming community. Grew up on a farm ranch and about 30 miles from the Kansas border, way different part of the state. And I actually did my undergraduate and my master's degree at Adams State, so that's when I made my way over to the mountains when I started college at Adams State. From there, I worked in the Midwest. I worked in Illinois and Kansas and went out to Oregon, but trying to get back to Colorado. And I came back to Colorado in '96 as Director of Admissions at Adams. And then I got really fortunate to come to Gunnison. I interviewed for a position here in 1998 as Director of Campus Life. Got that position, and 20 years later and 2 promotions, I'm, the Vice President now.
Still here.
Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about Lamar. Were you, I know you're active here, and we're going to get to that, but mountain biking, skiing, stuff like that, were you doing that growing up?
I had no idea. I grew up on a farm and ranch, and so, I helped my dad with that farm and ranch operation, and then traditional ball sports, football, basketball, baseball.
Okay.
That was a lot of my identity through junior high and high school. And when I went to college, I had never skied before, so I didn't start skiing until I was 18 years old. And so I went to Adams State, as I said, and that was my first taste of the mountains, and that's where I actually took a PE class that was a skiing class, and that's where I learned to ski and develop my passion for skiing. But back then, I didn't. They didn't really have much in the way of mountain biking. Did some hiking, climbed some 14ers, those kind of things. But that's really where I got my taste for the mountains, was when I went to college. And unfortunately, after that, I went to the Midwest and was into the flatlands and didn't have that opportunity. I was really longing to get back to the mountains, and it took a while, about 14, 15 years for me to make my way back to Colorado.
Did you, when you went to Adams and you started skiing and doing this other stuff, I assume you took to it and liked it immediately?
Yeah, I loved it. Like I said, I took a PE class, so that's how I learned how to ski, and then I, had some friends that were from Southwest Kansas who were also going to school over there, and so we had our own little posse, and we got to ski a lot of powder at Wolf Creek, and got that opportunity. And really, just when I was starting to get into it, I had a professional opportunity to leave the mountains, and I took my career over the recreation at that point in time.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, we'll get to the career, but let's keep talking a little bit about the fun stuff you do here. So I've been told you're a pretty avid mountain biker. You always do the Gunnison Growler, which is coming up pretty soon here in Gunnison, and the Vapor Trail, these other things. So let's talk about some of those experiences and some of the races and other things that you do.
Yeah, well, I think like most people, skiing was really my big passion. It still is. I mean, skiing and biking are my 2 big passions in life in terms of recreation. But when I first came to Gunnison, it was really more about being closer to skiing and having access to the mountain. And I didn't start mountain biking until 1996, 97 when I was at Adams, and it was pretty limited there. And that's right around that time I made my first trip to Moab. And so I had a buddy that I worked with at Adams that got me into the mountain biking aspect of it. But coming to Gunnison, what I was more excited about was access to skiing and having access to the mountain. The more that I've been here, many people say you come for the winters but stay for the summers, and that held true for me. I mean, I started really getting into mountain biking, and that became my passion as well. With biking, it's you have a powder day almost every day. You can go out and have a pretty good ride unless you have really bad weather. Skiing, sometimes that's not always the case, but if we had a year like last year, every year, skiing would easily be my number one. But mountain biking's kind of taken over for me as my really true passion, and part of what's complement of that is being able to fat bike, and so now I can pretty much ride year round. And so I got a fat bike like 6 years ago, and my wife was a little upset because she was saying, now you're going to be skiing and biking during the same season. But I've been able to bike year round in Gunnison now with the advent of fat biking, but having access to Hartman's early in March and April, and then riding, through November, December, and then I can pick up my fat bike and ride, until March. March is really the month that's a little iffy. But like this last season, I didn't bike as much just because the skiing was so good, and that was my priority. And so it's nice to have those choices and those options, but I really like the challenge involved with those two sports. I mean, Crested Butte Mountain has made me a much, much better skier. Just skiing there all a number of years and learning the mountain and skiing with all kinds of great skiers. And the same with mountain biking. I really had to learn a lot on my own. I developed, some friend groups that showed me around, but I explored a lot of the valley by myself for the first 2 or 3 years and kind of figured it out. And as I got more experience, I started doing, more racing, and I've been fortunate to be able to be in the growler. I've completed the full growler 12 times, or this 11 times. This will be the 12th season that I'm doing that.
And that's what,
64 miles.
Yeah.
And then I heard about the Vapor Trail, which is a 125-mile race. It starts at 10 o'clock at night in Salida, and you kind of circumvent going from Salida up to Alpine Tunnel and back around to, over to White Pine and Monarch Crest and back into Salida, and that's an epic race. And so I've attempted that 4 times. I only completed it once. I was close a couple other times. But
because of you had to drop out, or are there time limits?
Well, one was a time limit. I didn't make the time cut off, and the other one, if I would have been a little tougher, I'm kicking myself because I think I could have finished it, but I was having some knee issues.
It's hard.
And I was just like kind of a judgment call if I should keep going or not, and ended up being fine. But just to complete that once, I think that was a pretty big accomplishment for me.
Yeah, how long was that then?
Well, for me, it was 22 hours. I mean, the winner probably did it in 15, somebody really fast, 14 or 15 hours maybe.
Right.
But just love that event because you're out on the Colorado Trail at midnight, and you're out there by yourself. I mean, there's other riders, and they have great aid stations, and that's what makes it so awesome, are the people that are out there volunteering and getting you through it. But, I mean, you're out there.
Yeah, and, this is pretty deep backcountry to be on a bike in the middle of the night.
Middle of the night, and you're going over, Tamichi Pass at 5 or 6 in the morning, and then riding Canyon Creek down in the dark or at dawn.
Yep.
And it's just an incredible experience, and it's some awesome single track as well.
Yeah.
But those are really the only two races that I do. One's a good preseason. When I get ready for the growler, it gets me ready for the riding season. And then the Vapor Trail is always in September, and so that was always something for me to shoot for to kind of keep my season going strong. But the Vapor Trail's no longer happening.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
But it's just the people that I met mountain biking and the access to trails here. It's amazing, and it's something that motivates me every day. I really try to schedule around when I can ride.
I was just going to get to that question. So you've got a good job here at Western, and by the way, I need to remind myself it's Western Colorado University, correct?
Right, yeah.
It's still tough to say. I want to throw a state in there, but that's okay. But yeah, between work and then you mentioned family, and I believe you have kids. So how do you make all these sports work with job and family as well?
Well, I mean, for me, I really think that the recreation is a way for me to provide a good mental health release. To support all the things I have on my plate. It just keeps me centered and keeps me balanced. So it's a big priority. But I am married for 17 years, have 2 kids. I have a 16-year-old daughter, Lily, and a 12-year-old, soon-to-be 13-year-old son, Jack. And they're both pretty active. And, they've been supportive of me to a certain degree doing it. But, ultimately I think they've sacrificed a bit because I'm at work a lot.
Yeah.
My job's really busy during the school year, and then, making time for family and then for recreation, it's a daily challenge. But, my priorities have always been my family and my work, and then I try to squeeze recreation in wherever I can.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not always in that order, but those are the 3 main things in my life. And so I'm super thankful and appreciative of my family and how they've, supported my own health and well-being by, allowing me or at least supporting me to take on some of these adventures that I've been doing.
Yeah. And are they pretty avid mountain bikers and skiers too, or other sports?
Other sports. My wife is a really good skier, but she's had some hip injuries. She had a labrum tear. And so that's taken her off for that. But she's super talented. She's directed the Son of a Gun production in Gunnison at the Art Center.
Okay.
She's been in it for 17 different years out of the 30 years that it's been in existence, and she's directed it for 5 or 6 years. And so that's really an area that she excels in. My daughter's a dancer. She's a great skier, but dancing is her passion.
Dancing is her thing. Uh-huh.
And then my son's a lacrosse player and soccer, and he's a snowboarder and rock climber, and
so
kind of
little everything.
Little of everything. But
nice.
And we all like to go out on hikes, and then we've taken up paddleboarding as a family, and that's been a great activity for our family to go out and enjoy.
In the Crested Butte Real Estate Minute, I was wondering if you'd do me a favor real quick and visit crestedbutterealestateagent.com/newsletters and sign up for my monthly newsletters there. All you need is your name and email. I'd really appreciate it. Those newsletters are filled with upcoming events in the area as well as market updates for Crested Butte and Gunnison. So again, that website is crestedbutterealestateagent.com/newsletters. And I'll also put a link to that in the show notes so you can just go there and fill that out for me real quick. I'd really appreciate it. And my name is Frank Consella, and this is my podcast. And let's get back to the interview with Gary Pierson. Well, let's switch it up and let's just get to Western Colorado University. So, what exactly does your job entail here?
My job is really about student success. I mean, first and foremost, and that's both in and out of the classroom. But through my area, I have all the I think the touch points outside the classroom report up through me. So residence life, student leadership, student government, multicultural center, the university center, campus recreation, campus safety, medical mental health, conference services. So they all report up to me. Through me, I have great directors that I get to work with that are phenomenal in their positions. Residence life is also another big piece of that. That's probably one of the biggest pieces that we have here too as well. So having really good people to work with makes a huge difference. But really what we do is we support the academic mission of the university. We want to help students grow in a holistic manner. So, it's around student health and wellness, about safety, making good decisions, getting engaged, connected with not only Western, but with the local community. We really, push service or, promote service for students to go out into the community and volunteer with all the nonprofits and schools and things that we can get out into the community. So my job, again, is really to help students succeed both in and out of the classroom and it takes on a variety of shapes and forms, and it's all made possible, I think, because of the great people that I work with.
How often are you talking to students versus these folks that are reporting up to you?
Yeah.
What's that balance like?
My priority is always with students, and
Okay.
I'm pretty much on 24/7 during the school year. I carry my cell phone with me all the time, and I'll take calls, emails at night, early morning, when I'm out mountain biking, when I'm out skiing. When I'm skiing, I see lots of students. I've had some of the best conversations with students on the chairlift. I've recruited students while I'm riding the chairlift. I try to get out of my office and be visible on campus, so I go to lots of student events, and I want to be present, and I want students to see me and see me as approachable. Students are always my first priority. I have direct reports that report up through me, and I'm very fortunate, again, that these people are very talented and don't need a lot of micromanagement. They're very autonomous in their work, and they do great jobs. And I try to set the tone in terms of leadership and the kind of interactions that I value in working with students, and that's a lot of personal time and making sure students know that they're important.
Rumor has it that you know just about every student's name. Is this true?
Well, that's always my goal every year. As a freshman class comes in, I let them know that my goal for the year is to learn each and every student's name.
And how many students are in a freshman class on average?
There's about 500.
Okay.
Now, I fail miserably at that. I've never accomplished that, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to quit trying. And
it's a good goal.
It's something that I strive for, and I try to get to know students' names, and I get to know their faces and where they're from. And sometimes I remember where a student's from, but I can't quite remember their name, or vice versa. But I get these pieces around them, and it's an important piece of who I am, that I want to take a personal interest in students and try to remember their names and a little bit about them and where they're from and what they're doing. And I had an interesting story. I had a student that transferred here from Boulder. His name's Gordon Giannini, and he was just selected as one of our most outstanding graduates. He just graduated this couple weeks ago. But I kept wanting to call him Grant. And every time I'd see him, I'd call him Grant. And I just got so ticked off that I couldn't remember it. So I said, next time I call you Grant, I'm going to give you a scholarship. And sure enough, next time I saw him, I called him Grant.
Oh, no.
I ended up giving him a scholarship. And I never called him Grant again after that. So sometimes it takes a little effort on my part to motivate or help me remember those kind of names like that. But, that's what I think. What makes Western special are the people that work here and the students that come here. Mm-hmm. And it's that personal approach that we shine in, I think. Our people are outstanding that work here and the students that come here. And so, trying to learn their names and knowing a little bit about them is just part of the deal.
I don't think the person with your position at CU, where I went, would have much of a shot of learning.
Well, they have about 4,000 or 5,000 students, too.
Yeah, at least so. What are some of the unique challenges and opportunities you think here at Western?
Well, we have incredible opportunities here. We just got an $80 million gift from Paul Rady, who's an alum of Western. Yeah. And, he's one of our quintessential success stories, and like many of our students that come here, he was not a great student in high school, but had lots of potential, and he came here, and faculty took a vested interest in him. They got to know him, and that's where we just shine, is when students make those connections academically or outside the classroom. They have these mentors that really work with them, and that's what happened with Paul, and he got connected with some of the geology faculty, and Bruce Bartleson being one of them. He really excelled, and now he's the CEO of 3 major businesses, corporations. I think they're all in oil and gas and the energy business. Uh-huh. And he's been very successful. 2 of his sons went to school here, graduated from here as well. And, to the credit of our president, Dr. Salisbury, he made an effort to go out and identify opportunities for Western in terms of these kind of funding sources, and he was successful in landing the $80 million from Mr. Rady. And so now we have a School of Engineering, a mechanical engineering emphasis, and a School of Computer Science that we're going to be rolling out this fall. We'll have our first incoming class for that. It's a partnership with CU Boulder, so for the first 2 years they will be Western students, and then the last 2 years they can stay in Gunnison and finish as a CU student with the CU degree.
Okay.
So it's a pretty innovative, and I think it's got great potential to help Western because of the affiliation with CU. And then just having a School of Engineering, I think, ups the game for the university in terms of the academic quality and the selectivity and having those opportunities. And, STEM has been a big emphasis in higher education around, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But we're adding the A to it, so making it STEAM with the liberal arts. And so we think there's a lot of value in not only training students in those STEM disciplines, but also complementing that with the liberal arts in terms of good communication skills, both oral and writing skills, and analytical skills, and appreciation for diversity, and all those things that make, I think, a well-rounded educational experience. So that's going to be a great opportunity for us. We're currently building a 75,000 square foot building. It's going to be open in September of 2020.
Okay.
So it's about a year and a half out when that building will be open. But the actual incoming class starts this coming fall. We've added a lot of 3+2 programs here at Western. So those are programs that students can leave here with a master's degree in 5 years. So they can come in. A great example would be in environmental studies. They can leave with a master's in environmental management after 5 years. And so I think we have 15 of those programs right now. And it's pretty niche-y, we're always trying to be very conscious of price and value and quality of the experience. And so if you look at, what it cost you to get a master's degree, to knock that out in 5 years, and it's a quality experience. And so we're excited about that. We added a new MBA program in the outdoor retail area, and because of the boom in the outdoor recreation, outdoor retail industry,
and of course our location too. It makes sense.
Yeah, so that's an exciting opportunity. We've added some more graduate programs. We just recently added one in ecology. And so, we're continuing to add on to our graduate program offerings in addition to the 3+2, which is an undergraduate combination. And then just in terms of the campus itself, I mean, the amenities and the infrastructure, we've had over probably $150 million in new construction renovations in the last 10 years. And so, the quality of the facilities are certainly up to par with most colleges and universities across the country. We added a new field house, $30 million field house that's 5 years old now, and have a 200-meter indoor track and exercise facility, 45-foot indoor climbing wall, which I think is the tallest climbing wall of any college or university in the country. There's lots of great initiatives around enrollment and academic programs and things we're doing outside the classroom. Another initiative that we're really pushing is around service. Really believe in getting our students out into Gunnison, into Crested Butte, Mount Crested Butte, and volunteering and doing service. And so we instituted 2 service days. We do one in October and one in January. A service day last year in January for Martin Luther King, a day on, not a day off. And I think we had 80 students for that this year. I think we had around 145. And we brought the Gunnison High School, about 20 of those students into it as well. And we went out and provided a day of service for 22 nonprofits. So, and students just raved about it. They really appreciated the opportunity to go out and connect, with the community. So, those are lots of opportunities for us. The challenge is certainly around enrollment. It has been since I've been here for the 20 years. It's the recruitment of students here and retaining them has always been one of our biggest challenges. And
why do you think that is?
Well, There's a lot of different ideas and thoughts behind that. I mean, I think we should be turning people away. I mean, I believe in this experience so much. I've seen incredible success stories and transformations of students that have come here. But, our location is an attraction, but it also can certainly be a detriment. Where you have a winter like we had this year, if you aren't used to a hard Colorado winter, and it's your first winter here, and you maybe don't really go outdoors or don't ski or enjoy the winter that much,
sure,
that can be hard for students. So that location also, in terms of the size of the community, we hear a lot from students about a lack of things to do. That Gunnison shuts down after 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So, we really make a conscious effort to try to get students up Valley and experience Crested Butte, because it's a whole different scene up there in terms of, eating options and cultural opportunities and music opportunities. Sure. It's like, a whole different community experience. And we have the free bus service through the RTA now, and they were running 25 round trips a day, I think.
Sure,
through
it's not hard to get
the ski season, and 13 or 14 now during the, the summer. So it's easy to get up there. It picks up right on campus. And so, trying to just get students to expand their horizon. But, we need to continue to work with the city of Gunnison and with Crested Butte and with Mount Crested Butte to help develop that town-gown relationship, because that's part of the package here. I mean, students are not only deciding on their college based upon, or the university based upon the academic programs and the facilities and the faculty and the staff, but they're also taking a look at the surrounding community.
Sure.
And what kind of vibe do they get from people in the community. But I think we have a great working relationship with the city of Gunnison and with Crested Butte and Mount Crested Butte. It can always be improved, but as part of our strategic plan, we've put in community relations, and that's part of my job as well, is to do outreach within the community and be visible and be present, being at the table, trying to represent Western as much as we can. But that location certainly can be a factor. I think driving over Monarch for the first time, if they haven't ever done it, can be a little intimidating, can be a bit of a reality. The transportation, air service, always would like to see that improve, but we do have daily bus service to Denver, which has been great. But again, I just think the reality of living in a small mountain town, while it has, certainly people are enamored with that thought, I think once they get here and the reality of being here and what it takes to be successful, it really can make a difference in the students, whether they stay or leave. But, I'm all about students taking initiative, creating opportunities, and it frustrates me to no end when I have students that come in and tell me they're leaving, and I ask, well, what have you been doing? How have you gotten engaged? How have you gotten connected? And too many times they don't take the initiative and they don't create opportunities. And those are great life skills to have.
Sure.
And the students that do that, this place pays off in spades. I mean, students that create opportunities, I mean, their lives just blossom. And it's an incredible thing to see when students really find their place here.
Yeah.
I'm under no illusion that this is the best place for each and every student, but for the student that it's a right fit,
it's a great fit.
There's no better place. I mean, I've been all over the United States, well, the Midwest and the Northwest, and been at small privates and large flagship universities and commuter schools, and I just love Western because of the type of experience that it provides for our students and the type of education they get here.
Yeah. I guess I'll throw in my 2 cents as a CU Boulder graduate. To your point, there's a point where, Gunnison, if you go to the Hill in Boulder, you're at a college town. That doesn't quite exist here in Gunnison. But on the flip side, I will say that I was probably one of 25,000 students in Boulder. And to get involved to that point, I never did, and I didn't know how either. I actually find that it would probably be way easier here, in my opinion, because there are, how many nonprofits do we have? 200 and something in the Gunnison Valley. It's not hard to find what you're looking for here. In some ways, it's almost easier, I think, because it's a small town, and somebody's going to know somebody who can help you get involved. So and the school too. The school being smaller, the same thing, but the communities being smaller. I think the whole thing. I don't know. That would be my 2 cents. Is that it should be very easy actually to get involved.
Well, it is. You have to nudge people.
Yeah.
And
well, that's on them, not on their opportunities, though. I guess for sure. Would be.
And just a couple other challenges I'll put out there is, state funding support has declined dramatically over the years. So, we're having to make up that difference. We're seeing more and more competition from 2-year schools. Some 2-year schools are now offering 4-year degrees.
I was going to say, is that Colorado Mountain College, I believe?
Yeah, Colorado Mountain College does that. I think Arapahoe Community College just did a partnership with CSU that they can do a 2-year with ACC and finish with CSU at a 4-year degree. So, we've got challenges and competition around students and just cost of attending.
Sure.
We're trying to keep a handle on that, but the reality of coming to live at Western, traveling to Gunnison where, students can stay closer to home, possibly live at home, go to a 2-year school, maybe go to a tech school or a trade school. The economy's really good right now. So, there's lots of headwinds that are facing us just in terms of the competition for students.
When it comes to costs, so let's go back to the engineering program that's going to be in combination with CU. So they're paying Western State tuition, correct?
Their first 2 years they pay Western tuition.
Okay, and then the next 2 years they pay. So over the course of that degree, they're saving how much money? Like quite a bit, I would think.
Yeah. Well, for not going to CU for the first 2 years. Yeah, they're saving money. I don't know to the tune of what, but it's about $20,000 in state for a Colorado resident. That's tuition, fees, room and board.
Okay.
And I think CU's in state's probably got to be around 30.
Okay. So yeah, it's pretty more significant over the course of that, and that also. Housing costs, I know they're getting more expensive here, but compared to Boulder, it's considerably less expensive here. So what was I going to say with that, too? And then with that engineering program, are they actually applying to CU under CU academic standards, or how does that work?
We admit them under Western.
Okay.
And then, then they'll certainly have to make the grades and do what they need to move on to the junior and senior year with CU.
Gotcha.
But certainly we'll work closely with those students and hopefully, move all of them on.
Yeah. No, and I wanted to specifically talk about that because I think it's a really interesting and very good thing. Like you said, engineering's kind of that's kind of where it's at right now.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And I just think being affiliated with CU is a great opportunity for us, and having Vail Resorts come into the Valley, I think. We've been having some ongoing talks with CBMR, Vail Resorts, and, having them here and being able to maybe co-brand or co-market, is going to be a good thing, I think, for Western. I think we'll benefit from having Vail Resorts in the Valley and bringing more people here.
Well, I guess that would maybe lead me into something else. What programs do you wish, if you could choose, what other programs do you wish that you could get going here at Western?
Academic programs?
Academically, or else, if you had a magic wand and a budget and you could do something, what would you like to do? What are some ideas that you've kicked around?
Well, I mean, one of the things, if I had a magic wand, one of the things that would really help Western is, as I talked about, we put a lot of money into the renovation and new construction, and with that we've taken on some debt.
Okay.
And if I had money, I would do things to help reduce the debt load for Western. That would take a lot of pressure off of us.
Gotcha.
For sure. But, I think certainly, adding different residence options, housing options, because housing is such an issue in the Valley. And I'm proud of our residence facilities. We have, the traditional freshman community style housing. We have suite options and we have apartments, but we have about 1,000 students that live on campus right now. But I'd like to have some newer housing options if I had the money to do that, to improve the quality of our housing, because that's something that impacts students on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And again, I think we do great with what we have, but it's ultra competitive out there, and schools are building newer amenities, and housing options are certainly one of those. And So if I could do that, if I could create things in the Gunnison community, more businesses that catered to students that stayed open later at night, I think that would make a huge difference in terms of student satisfaction and the quality of their experience, because they want to get off campus, but when the community shuts down earlier, and I get it, businesses can't stay open in the hopes they're going to get 1 or 2 or 3 students coming in, so it's a bit of a conundrum there. But if we had more options within the community for students for late night options, we're creating a walkway from campus to the Main Street area, and for us that live here, we don't think anything about walking down the dark street at night. I feel pretty safe here. Yeah. But for students that come from larger cities, you just don't walk down a street that's not very well lit, or not sure where you're going, regardless of the size of the community. And so Ohio Avenue is going to be a designated Western walkway. We're going to, brand it with Western flags and also, the Western emblem, and put in sidewalks and so pedestrian, biker-friendly access to Main Street, and it's going to be well lit. And the hope is that it's going to take it all the way down to the high school. And have a walkway that will connect from the Gunnison High School to the university. And again, if I had that magic wand, I'd like to create a nice little trail system around the whole city of Gunnison. And so we have Van Tile Trail out to the kind of northwest of the schools. We're developing the Signal Peak Trail system. We've got Hartman's, and if we could connect a trail system around the whole community that would lead us to all a single track. And not just for mountain biking, hiking and horse riding, whatever, just getting people outdoors. There's been lots of significant investment around the country in trails for the health and wellness benefits. Yeah. And so that would be another thing that I would like to see happen. And then ultimately, I wish we could pay our people more. If I had more money, I wish we could, because they do such an outstanding job and their commitment to the students and to the university. And they do it like a lot of us. It's a quality of life choice.
Sure, if they're choosing to live here.
Choosing to live here and maybe make less money, but I'll take quality life over pay any day.
Yeah, and I think that's the case for most of us that live here. And if not, then you should probably move.
Right.
But I guess going back to other opportunities from the other side of things for a nonprofit or for a business, how can they get involved to help provide some opportunities for students here? What would be some things that you could talk about there?
I would love people hear this, or people want to reach out to me personally. I don't profess to know all the answers, but I do feel like I know how to find answers and get people connected. I really enjoy getting people connected and helping mutually benefit whatever organizations they might be from, and with Western, of course. So certainly contacting me directly. We have an alum who's now our Director of Career Services, Craig Beebe, and we're looking for internship opportunities and ways to get students out in the community. And then a woman by the name of Annie Westbury, who is in our Leadership and Engagement and Development Office, our lead office, is really our community service, or our service engagement coordinator. So we're always looking for ways to get students out into the community in whatever shape or form that is. And I think it's a win-win situation. I think the community really appreciates it. And from the feedback that we get from students that go out and do that, it makes a tremendous difference in their view of Western, and more importantly of Gunnison and Crested Butte.
Maybe that's just me, but I feel like there probably hasn't been enough businesses and nonprofits taking advantage of that, actually, that they're, for an internship. And it doesn't have to be a full one. It could just be a project or something that someone can put on their resume and learn and use their skills that they're learning here at Western. So,
So, that's an area that I would like to certainly improve on, is the community relations piece, and how we can get our students out off campus.
Yeah.
In whatever shape or form. That's, internships, recreation, service, whatever it is. But that's going to help. What I think is going to help us make the difference in retaining more students, is making that stronger connection with the surrounding area around the university.
All right. Well, anyone listening, there you go. let's get on it. Do our part. All right, well, let's start to wrap it up a little bit. Crested Butte and the Gunnison Valley is home for you. Why do you still choose to make it your home?
Well, I've had the good fortune of having a great career and been able to go to different parts of the country. And coming here, I knew right away that this is where I wanted to be at. I mean, when I came for my interview, immediately I knew this was a place that I wanted to be at. And that's why I tell people, I don't want to get all mystic on everybody, but this place will speak to you, and I think, for a lot of people, pretty quickly if this is a good fit for you or not.
Uh-huh.
And, it's a combination of, it's a great job, the great location, it's a great place to raise a family. And I've just always been a small town guy. I grew up in Lamar, Colorado, and I just always liked small towns and never been much for city living. But, so I can check off all those things. And then when you look at the quality of the job that I have and the quality of the recreational opportunities and just the overall quality of the people in the community. I mean, I love the community of Gunnison. It's a great fit for me. But also I've got to meet many people up in Crested Butte and at Mount Crested Butte, and it's just that community feel that you have a lot of similar interests and passions and values with people that are around you. Never have any trouble getting out of bed every morning just because of the quality of my life experience here.
Where can people learn more about Western? What's the website?
It's www.western.edu.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they could look up your name there, and you've got a thing there, and they could shoot you an email or something from there too.
I'm always interested in meeting more people and sharing my passion for Western, but also for the Gunnison Valley. And I've had the opportunity to also serve on the Tourism and Prosperity Project Board.
Yeah.
And so I have a vested interest there, just to help the valley grow in a sustainable way.
Yeah.
And love to share my enthusiasm and support for the Gunnison Valley through that opportunity as well.
Well, one question I always ask is anything else I should have asked, but I've realized that there was something I wanted to bring up earlier that I didn't. So I'm just going to mention it. It's not even a question. But one thing that's been really fun for me doing all these podcasts is to start to learn certain answers that come up a lot. And one thing that surprised me, not being a Western student, is how many people got to Crested Butte or Gunnison because of this college. It's probably 80%. Not directly necessarily, but I had a friend who was going to Western and I came for a summer and I never left. Things like that. So I don't know, I guess so. Like I said, it's not really a question so much as a comment of like Western is an important part of this valley.
Well, it is, and it's amazing when we travel as a family, I always run into somebody from Western. You just never ceases to amaze me the network of the Western people out, and then just their passion, when they talk about Western and about Gunnison or about Crested Butte or, Crested Butte Mountain Resort. I mean, it's just that kind of kinship, that passion for living here and having that opportunity. So I agree with you that Western connection runs deep and it runs pretty broad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, final question, who else should I interview?
You interviewed Dave Wayans?
I have not yet. It's been mentioned by others, and it's on the list, so that's up there.
Dave's an incredible guy. He's a Western alum as well, and, he's done great things for Western. I was really remiss in not mentioning our mountain sports program, too.
Yeah.
And that's been a huge success for us, and that really was Dave's brainchild. But, we eliminated our Division I ski program in 2008, and that certainly was met with a lot of pushback, and understandably so, because of our heritage and, who we are as a university and
where we're located.
And so, we've had great success with that program. We have a mountain biking team. We have a big mountain ski and snowboard team. We have a trail running team. We're adding a climbing team this coming fall, and we're bringing back our free style, so our park and pipe ski and snowboarding. We're bringing that back, but we've won 2 national championships in mountain biking. We've won a national championship in Nordic skiing. Trail running's booming, for us. That's one of our biggest participants. We have about 120 student athletes in mountain sports. And, Dave was certainly a catalyst for making that happen. And, he passed the baton off to me, and, we kept it going. And we've had great success around recruitment and retention because of that program.
I was going to say, that's...
It's been a flagship program for us. But Dave Ox, I don't know, he's another...
he was he number 2 or 3? He was early on, yeah.
John Norton's an interesting guy.
Yeah, no, and he's also been on the list. He's had such a breadth of experience, and I think it'd be interesting to hear all his opinions on Crested Butte and his time in Aspen and where we've been and where we're going.
Yeah. Talked to Sierra Friesen, but Eric Friesen's another really interesting guy to talk to, and his experience and how he's made it happen here, for him. Jason Holton's another good guy.
Yep, I think Sierra mentioned him.
Controller. I mean, he's a Western alum as well.
But yeah, those are all great.
I could come up with the list of 20 pretty easy.
My original list came quick, so appreciate that. Yeah. I appreciate you being able to sit down with me and chat about Western, and sounds like I will see you on the trail or at the ski area, one or the other, and now we've met, so we'll wave.
I know. Well, I look forward to it. I mean, that's mostly why I love skiing. It's not only just when you get a ski powder, but just the people.
Yeah,
it's a big social. Every year I see people that I don't see all year till I ski.
Yeah.
And just to reconnect with people and go ski with people that you don't normally hang out with, and then they show you different parts of the mountain that you haven't ever been to, and so just that, again, it's that community piece of it.
Yep,
huge.
Absolutely. I get the last day of the ski area, I'm always a little sad, not just for the lack of skiing, but like you said, there's some people I might not see them again until the lifts start turning again the next winter, and the social aspect of it is But anyway, all right.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you too. Thanks for listening to the Crested Butte is Home podcast. I hope you enjoyed the interview with Gary Pierson. As always, you can find all the episodes as well as real estate information at crestedbutteshome.com. And please do me a favor, let your friends know about the podcast if you enjoy it. That's really the best way for me to grow the show and spread the word about this podcast. If you enjoy it, I'd appreciate it. I will see you in 2 weeks with another episode. This is Frank Consella with the Crested Butte is Home podcast.